Hey guys, what's up? It's Karl here, back with another episode and back with more Apple stuff. So we know that the iPad Air came out, or was at least announced a couple weeks ago. It is officially available as of today, so hopefully this is your very first look. You can see right here, we've got the iPad Air. And one of the big things this year, the new iPad Air, which is completely redesigned now, it comes in a bunch of different colorways. So this is one of the new ones. It's in more than just the standard silver or space gray. You can grab it in the green, red, or blue, I believe. All of those are coming to the studio, and I'll do an entire color comparison, but let's take a look inside what we've got in the latest gen of iPads. So unfortunately, still just pull tabs. And we can see right off of the box art, it's showing a brand new display. So it's 10.9 inches, and of course, iPad Air in the green. If we remove the top, and up top is the iPad Air, and already I just want to kind of remove this plastic to see this color. And that looks pretty slick. That's so cool. It's the first time I've actually seen an iPad in a color that isn't silver or space gray. And it actually really reminds me of the new Pixel 5 colorway, and this is called Sage Green. But in reality, the Pixel 5 is still a bit darker, whereas the iPad, it's more metallic, it's lighter, and I would say the word pastel. One of the first things that we can already see is the new camera cutout. That's a 12 megapixel sensor, the same found on the iPad Pro. Already a couple fingerprints on the screen, but we'll let that boot up and we'll take a look what else is inside the box. So designed by California in Apple. And I will honestly lose it if we get green Apple stickers, because that will be really, really unique. Oh, they're white. That's so unfortunate. And something interesting about this charging brick, obviously, we thankfully have one inside, unlike the iPhone 12s. This is a 20-watt charger, and in comparison to the iPad Pro, it's only 18 watts. So this should actually charge faster, and we can see that they've made the jump up to USB-C on the new iPad Air. And one of the first things that you'll notice as the new iPad Air sets up, Touch ID is actually now located on the top where the on and off button is. So we no longer have the traditional Touch ID that usually lives at the bottom. So we're actually gonna see how this works. Continue. And actually the on and off button is larger on this iPad, and I'm sure that's to accommodate the new fingerprint scanner. So we'll go around the rest of my finger here. Successfully added. And the second big feature coming to the iPad Air, which I actually think it's the most important, it's found on the inside on the chipset. It's the new A14 Bionic. It's Apple's latest flagship chip. Flagship chip. Say that a couple times fast. It's their new silicon being featured in their iPhone 12, iPhone 12 Pro, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised going to be found on their MacBook lineup as well. And the initial benchmark testing has kind of been nuts. This actually blows away what we see in fully dedicated laptops that usually cost double the price of this. And when you couple that with the optimization of iPad OS, the entire experience so far in my initial testing has just been an absolute breeze. Everything is super quick and snappy. Every single game, 3D intensive, the most graphic intensive thing that I can throw at the Air, handles like butter. Because now we've made this switch to USB-C on the iPad Air, you can now connect it to an external monitor, like on my Pro Display XDR, but more importantly, we are switching away from the first gen Apple Pencil, and you can now use the second gen Apple Pencil on the new Air. And just like on the iPad Pro, when you snap the Apple Pencil to the side of the iPad, it syncs and also charges the actual pencil. And now you get all the benefits of the second gen pencil on a way cheaper device compared to, say, the iPad Pro. So I think a lot of people, maybe students, artists, looking for a device and taking full advantage of this will definitely find way more value in the Air versus the Pro, which actually is a great comparison because I think a lot of people want to see that. So I'll quickly grab my iPad Pro and we'll kind of compare the key differences here. And the first key difference here, although they have very similar form factors, they're almost identical. The display on the iPad Pro is slightly larger. So we've got 11 inches versus the 10.9 found on the iPad Air. And you can see these slightly larger bezels. And I wouldn't say that's too big of a deal breaker, but the big difference in, I guess, displays is of course the refresh rate. So on the iPad Pro, you've got 120 Hertz. It feels quick, fluid. It almost reminds you of every Android device. Not too sure why we couldn't see that on an iPhone, but on the iPad Air, it is still stuck at 60. And just because of that screen refresh rate, the iPad Pro just feels like a quicker device, even though the iPad Air has the newer chip, the A14 Bionic, which actually blows this out of the water. That's kind of just perception to the eye. The second big difference, which maybe isn't too big of a deal, actually it's not that big of a difference, is the camera sensors on the back. And remember I mentioned that the iPad Air has the 12 megapixel sensor found in the iPad Pro. It just doesn't have the ultra wide lens or the LiDAR scanner on the back. I wouldn't say that's a real necessity to have, and I think the people that use those sensors are pretty specific. I personally haven't taken one single photo with my iPad Pro. Please don't be that person that goes around snapping pics with your iPad, but if that's your jam, that's totally cool. The main reason when I use my actual cameras is when I'm using it for FaceTime, and I think 95, 99% of you out there would probably agree with that. Pricing wise, it starts at $599 or $779 if you're up here in Canada, and I honestly wish we had a 128 gig base storage option for the new Air. Sadly, it still comes in at 64 gigs, and if you want to make the next jump, you are stuck at 256. I think for most people, you can get by with just the base model, so that would be my recommended spec. Most of us do have iCloud, Dropbox, some sort of cloud service to help if you are low on space. And to kind of round off, we have improved speakers, improved microphones, and because it's a new design, you will need a bunch of new accessories like cases. They also have the new Magic keyboard case. If you do want to use that as a keyboard case combo, I know it's the most expensive, but it typically is the best one. And that should hopefully keep your Apple Pencil safe, and just remember to always snap it to the end of your iPad, because I've lost countless OG Apple Pencils with my older iPad/iPad Air combos. I think this is a pretty big and welcome upgrade to the iPad Air line, and I couldn't say that as much as say the entry level. I think it's the 8th gen iPad from this year. So this has been the 2020 iPad Air. I know it becomes a bit tougher now on which device to choose, whether you get this or say the iPad Pro. I definitely recommend the Air now just because it has the new A14 Bionic chip, which is the same found in the new iPhone 12s. So make sure you stay posted to the channel because those vids are dropping shortly. So if you like this vid, just be sure to smash that like button as always. Leave that comment down below on what your favorite colorway is. And remember, that video, that color comparison against all of the new ones is dropping as well. Hope you guys enjoyed your very first look at the 2020 iPad Air, and I'll catch the rest of you in one of my next videos or vlogs. Peace.